Okay, so this is my attempt to try to show you how to work WeVideo while I'm recording in WeVideo. So this will be take two. The first one I did, I apparently shut off the recorder. So a couple of things before we jump into the technical parts of this. If you watch a video and turn off the sound, you can start to analyze what is a video doing. If you take my example video, watch it again. It's about hypochondriasis. But if you turn off the sound, then you're not hearing any of the information. You're just looking at the video itself. So what you're going to notice is that it's a series of images. And then when you turn the sound on, the thing that you hear is me narrating or telling a story about, in this case, hypochondriasis. And then along the way, what you get is information that is also backed up with then images that fit with the information. So there's two ways to go about this. The very basic way, you're basically doing a screencast. What you're going to do is go in and make a set of slides, and you can have basically the narration of your presentation, the relevant information, and you're going to then talk as we look at text on screen. Here's our agenda slide. It would be me, walking you through these things as though I was giving you notes, but that will get pretty boring and pretty stale pretty quickly. So that'll get the job done. You're likely going to lose some points in terms of the creativity piece and some of the technical aspects, because I do want to push you a little bit to make these interesting. If we have to watch 20 of those, we'll all be bored to tears. So if I was going to do a screencast, though, I'll click on recording, and I can pick screen. And then basically what happens once I hit OK or next is that whatever's on my screen will be what the video shows. And then it records my voice. Right now I have iPhone headphones plugged into my laptop, and they have a little microphone on them. And so it picks up my voice. You can do it on your Chromebook. If it's quiet in the room, it'll pick up. It has a microphone too. And so then you just talk about whatever it is we're seeing in the slides. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Everybody should be able to do that. Again, you're not going to get 100% grade wise. So what's the next level? We can do something a little more interesting by just playing around with some of the editing on the video itself. So if I go to, let me find, I always get stuck a little bit here. Here I go. Go to exports. Actually, I'm going to go back. If I go into video, okay, so what I did was basically I opened up a new video, and I get to this blank editing screen. So across the top, I have a number of different options here. If I get into my media and I find, here's the folder that I ended up making when I was doing the hypochondriasis video. And so what you'll notice, if I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see images. This one says causes, this one says diagnostic criteria. You will have noticed those from the video itself. Those are kind of like my chapter markers as I was going through the different sections. You will also see the diagnostic criteria. That's the one piece of text that I want to make sure shows up in the video so that everybody is very clear on what it is that the disorder looks like. And then after that, you will see a number of images, some of them more serious. Some of them, here's our buddy Freud. I think in the history, some of it talked about Freud. So how I got these was I literally went into Google, typed in Freud, and pulled up images, and I can do a save as, and then when I'm in WeVideo, I just go to import, and then I find wherever that image was. Okay, so I found a bunch of images that relate to my disorder, and I saved them into a folder and then started importing them into my video workspace. The ones like this for history or the bookmarks, if you're in a slide and you make it look however you want it to look, obviously this is not great. If I right click on that, I can, sorry, I want to go to download as, and I make it a JPEG. And then I can import a JPEG into my window as well. Okay, so then what you start doing is you pull your images down as you go. Oops. And you can arrange these in whatever way you want. And then it'll just scroll through your images. Okay, pretty straightforward. The issue becomes then how much time do you want it on the screen? So I can make them bigger, I can make them smaller, I can do all kinds of things with it, right? So you'll start playing around with it. Here's tip number one. Start with the narration, what you're gonna say. First time I did a video, I put all the images on the video line, and then I tried to narrate to the images, and it pretty quickly was obvious that there's no way I could time this right. So I would start with your narration. So if I go to narrate and I click on this, once I press this button, it'll start recording. Okay. How do I get that to go away? Once you have narration, I would do it in pieces. So each section of the video, record that narration piece, and then pull your images to match so that the pictures that we look at match up with whatever you're saying in a logical way. And then you can start to build your video. You have options that you can use. So there's a number of different ways. If you had, let's say you had a quote that you wanted to use, some statistic or something, and then I can start editing, right? And it shows up on the screen. There are audio clips that you can use, all kinds of different, I want something, oh, soft and lovely, that was nice. I have transitions that I can use. So if I put a transition between two clips, then it gives you that nice thing that happens so that it's not so herky-jerky. I have backgrounds I can use. There's all kinds of things you can play around with here. The one I was noticing today, this is new. If let's say we type in dog, there are all kinds of clips that they have that you can pull. And these are just like stock footage clips. I don't know if your disorder has something to do with a woman playing with her dog, but here's a perfect video clip you could use and pull in. These are nice because then you actually get some moving images and it's not just still footage. So you start building this thing out. I'm looking for you to teach your disorder. So how can you create a video that not only has good information, but also conveys that information in a creative way so that these are enjoyable to watch, because this is how we're all going to be learning as we go. The one last thing is the DSM information. If I am trying to get the diagnostic criteria for schizophrenia, I typed in diagnostic criteria schizophrenia, and then one of the things that pops up should be able to get you to the diagnostic criteria. So this is the one case where we specifically are going to copy and paste, and I want to see this text in your video. So this says for schizophrenia, 2 or more of the following, each present for a significant portion of time during a 1-month period, with at least one of them being 1, 2, or 3. So I'll have either delusions, hallucinations, or disorganized speech, and I have altogether at least 2 of the 5. Okay, so it says for a 1-month period. You're going to walk us through these. You're going to explain what this means. This will make a lot of sense in your presentation. Just a side note, if there are any things in here that we're not exactly sure about, disorganized speech is something you should define if you're taking schizophrenia. We probably don't know what catatonic behavior is. We probably don't know what negative symptoms are. So if you're reading this and you're not sure what it is, then you have to Google it so that you can explain to us, right? That's part of the teaching process. So to make sure this is clear, your diagnostic criteria for whatever your disorder is should include all of these pieces, right? So the first part tells you basically what are the behaviors we would see. It generally gives you how it impacts the person. It will talk about time, how long this has to go on for it to be considered, yes, you have the disorder. This next bullet is showing the difference between this and other disorders. So it's how we differentiate between schizophrenia and, in this case, schizoaffective disorder or bipolar disorder. So it's talking about how they might have some things in common, but these are the differences. And generally, they say that it's not, these behaviors are not because of you're on drugs of some kind. And sometimes they'll have some additional pieces. So literally, all of this stuff should show up as my diagnostic criteria. So make sure you're including, step by step, those different pieces. The last part of your video is I'm looking for some kind of a video clip to insert. So if you look at mine, the example was from a movie, Woody Allen, a Woody Allen movie that shows a character that has hypochondriasis or those kinds of symptoms, so you can kind of see it. The best idea that I have for you there is to go into YouTube, and if you can find a clip, the only trick would be, how do I import that clip into WeVideo? And so you might need to find an MP4 downloader that will download YouTube clips. If you do a little Googling, you should be able to kind of make that work. Once it's an MP4 video, then you should be able to then import it into your video the way we've been doing everything else. And I think that about covers the gist. When you're finished, there's this button that says finish, and there are a couple of additional steps. It has to process the whole video and put it together. And then when you're done, it'll bring you to a screen, and you want to make sure that it is a public video so that we can all see it. And then it'll give you a link from there that you can post into the assignment. You're going to let me know if you have questions, and I will do my very best to help you with the process. But for now, start playing around with WeVideo a little bit and start building out your video.